You're listening to The Sound of Young America. I'm Jesse Thorn, America's radio sweetheart. My guests on the program are John Lee.
Wait a second.
What?
Radio what? Have you been taping this the whole time? I thought we were friends. You never told us you were the radio sweetheart.
You knew that already.
You said you were my sweetheart.
It turns out, for the benefit of our audience, that one of my guests, John Lee, was a member of a band called Mucka Ferguson that came in studio and did an interview. I think it was probably the first year that this program ever existed. I was probably like 19 or 20.
So weird. They would he'd be back on in the last year. The very last show. Before that tragic incident. Yeah, so bizarre.
These two yuckalucks are the co-creators of the television series.
And they're about to hang up.
Wonder Showzen, which bears the warning, Wonder Showzen contains offensive, despicable content that is too controversial and too awesome for actual children. The stark, ugly, profound truths Wonder Showzen exposes may be soul-crushing to the weak of spirit.
Can we do the entire episode as a radio play?
Yeah, well, wasn't that the plan?
Yeah, I guess it is, yeah.
Here's my question about that warning. Is the despicable content too awesome in the sense that it is awesome, or it inspires awe?
It's awe-inspiring. You know how Jesse, that God is awesome?
Yeah, I've heard that.
And he just wants to be your bud.
I've read that on a number of keychains attached to backpacks.
He can do the coolest trick with his thumb where it looks like it's not really there for a second. He's just a cool dude who wants to hang out, and that's what we want to talk to you about.
Oh, you just want to talk to me about being cool and hanging out?
Yeah, pretty much. Then you got to get to Jesus, but that's the only other part you need.
That's just kind of the side dish to the beautiful meal of God.
So just say you accept Jesus, and we'll continue this interview.
Well, I accept Jesus. Do I have to accept him as something in particular?
See how easy it is? Right. Now let's move on to Islam.
Oh, what do I have to do with regards to Islam?
I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about this on
we don't want to be responsible for murder.
It's good to know that you have some standards, guys.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the story of Wonder Showzen's inception. This started out as...
It was a conception.
Consensualception.
Yes.
Consensual
rape, we like to call it.
Yeah.
You guys are having too much fun over there. This is a public radio show.
Sorry.
This started out as a pilot that was made for the USA Network, which is that's the one with silk stockings, right?
Isn't that Showtime? I don't know.
I don't know really
what
USA Network
since they rejected us. It's too painful to watch that network now.
My understanding is
it's like, you know how you break up with a girlfriend and then you follow her around and watch her for years? At a certain point, you got to stop it. You got to move on.
Especially when she has so much to do with Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
My understanding is that after you guys turned in the at the time the show was called Kids Show.
Yes.
The entire comedy division of the USA Network was wiped off the map.
Collapsed. Yeah.
They aborted the comedy all comedy at the USA Network.
So if you don't like our show, at least we saved the world from a lot of bad comedy.
How did this show get a new life? Because that was like 2000 or something like that.
We had no other ideas, really.
Yeah. We just sort of wandered around for the last few years in a haze, punching ourselves in the yogurts and singing songs to raise money.
Well,
homeless guys. I had a keyboard. Vernon had a rack of ribs.
That's interesting. A rack of ribs.
Is it interesting?
Was it played like
marimba? Have we achieved good radio yet, people?
We have to try and keep this lively. Let's keep it focused. Let's keep it on point. Let's take some calls.
Great. That would be great.
Well, tell me about what you did in the intervening time. I know I have only this vague awareness of something called PFFR.
PFFR. You got. It's very vague, your awareness.
Yeah.
It's PFR. But yeah, it's a rock band with Vernon, myself, and two of the other people behind and responsible for Wonder Showzen, Allison Levy, who does is the Muse, and Jim Tozzi, who's the Bruise.
Is the band as kind of unpleasant as the website?
It's way more.
What do you mean unpleasant?
Like it's the opposite of pleasant.
I don't understand.
I think I understand. I think he's gone to the website.
The website, for those who are not on the interweb right now, is kind of like a lot of neon lines and a rabbit with a giant...
Live webcast, radio.
Just enjoy this for a while.
You know how many medium... That's the audio from the video on our CD that we got off the internet that we're now playing on the radio.
Wow.
Our internet is connected through ham radio, too.
Okay, so we've established that there was this strange rock band with a website with a rabbit with an enormous phallus on it.
Yeah. It's a rock band with a mission.
Emission.
Did you guys end up on the MTV2 because of your work on the critically acclaimed Doggy Fizzle Televizzle?
We didn't work on that show. We worked on just Doggy Fizzle Televizzle.
Oh, okay.
We didn't work on the critically acclaimed one.
That must be some Spanish or French show.
I read some positive reviews of Doggy Fizzle Televizzle, although
you want tapes?
I saw one.
Have you seen it?
I saw it once, and it seemed like Snoop Dogg wasn't really sure what his role in it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ended badly when we revealed his real name on the air. He got a little mad.
Didn't he reveal his real name in the video for Murder Was the Case?
But that's not his.
No, that's not his real.
He
wants people to think that his name is Calvin Brodus,
yeah.
which, of course, everyone would want to name that cool. But his God-given name we revealed, and he got pretty upset, and the show got pulled.
See, if someone had revealed that my name had been given to me by God,
yeah,
I would be pretty stoked.
Yeah, well, not when your name is Snoopled P. Dogsworth.
DDS.
How does it compare working on a television program and writing material for Snoop Doggy Dogg to writing material for puppets and small children?
It's pretty much the same thing, except the puppets show up on time.
And the puppets don't want to wear wigs all the time.
Was that a demand?
Snoop wanted to wear a lot of wigs and a lot of crazy teeth. And he didn't really care so much about content because I guess wigs and teeth are content.
It sounds like you guys had a real adventure working on that program.
Yeah, it was fun.
Pretty fun.
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy, and he will do anything if you put him in a wig, and it's surprising what you can get him to do. But it's just sitting around for 4 hours for him to finish being
Wigging.
high and playing video games.
Was there some segment on that program that involved getting Snoop Doggy Dogg to do something that you guys were proud of?
We tricked him into being on our CD. That's about it.
That's true. That's the most after that day we were like, it was a good day today.
In what manner did you trick him into being on your CD?
He just got used to kind of doing what we said. And we're like, hey, now we're going to do this.
Vernon, you told him it was my birthday, right?
Yeah. See, you got to play on people's heartstrings.
I happened to be wearing a sweater that day, and Snoop said, birthday sweater. That's what he said to me. I think those are the only words he ever said to me, besides to get away from me.
You're listening to The Sound of Young America. I'm Jesse Thorn, America's radio sweetheart. My guests on the program
Wait a second.
John Lee and Vernon Chatman. You won't lure me into a self-repeating
You think
spiral.
radio's sweetheart? You think it's working?
I think it'd be sad if he's not really recording it.
I find it to be that'd be great.
It's kind of charming.
It's more charming.
It's
sad
whole
when
thing,
he's alone.
You should know that this whole thing is just kind of like the king of comedy.
Yeah,
I'm just recording this. I'm just
You're
doing
just
this for
looking
my
at a
own
large
benefit.
photo,
in my
The
basement.
Sound of Young America. Mom!
John and Vernon are co-creators of the television series Wonder Showzen, which is on MTV2 and occasionally on regular MTV, if I'm not mistaken.
And occasionally on Comedy Central.
Yeah, Comedy Central.
They're showing the many tendrils of MTV networks.
Yes.
How did you guys end up on MTV2? When I had MTV2, there was the channel that showed music videos and even showed some music videos that I liked on it.
Yeah, they
sometimes.
wanted to do it, on MTV, and then we had worked on MTV enough to know there's no way we're going to get away with it because their stated target audience is like 8 to 12, and so it was just like the only way we're going to get away with this is if we do it late on MTV2.
If no one knows and no one cares, that's the only way you can get away with anything in this world.
In a certain way, you were really concerned with lowering the standards of success for the show?
Yeah, definitely.
I think we did a pretty good job.
Get the season 1 DVD and you'll be able to taste it.
You know how hard it is to lower the standards of quality alone?
Let's talk some about Wonder Showzen. This is a show that is very. It's kind of gleefully angry. Do you feel like that's a fair representation of it?
Yeah, sure. It's post Nagasaki, Japan. It's like the demon, but you gotta have like a big cat with giant eyes and a big smile that
it's maybe the giant yellow feather that tickles the frozen shadow on the wall of Hiroshima.
Of the underarm of Hiroshima.
Does this reflect some kind of convictions that you guys hold? I mean,
Are you
is
asking
there
if
some?
We've been to jail?
I'm wondering if there's some kind
of.
of.
Hold my conviction?
I'm wondering if there's some kind of
Sincerity?
set of beliefs or objectives
Organized
behind
beliefs?
this program. You don't have like a system like the Wu-Tang Clan? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well,
we definitely have that system.
Yeah, Riz is working on our book right now, and he'll explain the system.
He's scoring our book.
Maybe I should just ask the publicist for MTV2 to kind of give an encapsulation of what the show is about.
Jeff will not. He won't answer. As much as he's standing there now laughing, he will not.
Jeff, just for the listeners, will you just breathe into the phone, just so that
He's got
people
great
know
breath.
that we're taking care of. Oh yeah, that's nice.
We're
It's like so much more than we ever could have.
We do have core beliefs in there. The show encapsulates those things.
Okay, well, we're not watching the show right now, and many of the people in our audience haven't seen it. So, what are the beliefs that you're encapsulating with the program?
Self-indulgence.
Yeah.
Is king.
Conceptual mindfuckery. That's the queen. Smash the state is probably the workers.
Back to self-indulgence.
Yeah, back to self-indulgence, which is the laborers.
And then we believe in the power of a mystical gem that emanated from the dark cloud in the sky, and God queefed her light through it. And
that refraction formed a dragon, a cougar, and a sea beast.
And they together out a script, and we printed it up and shot it.
Yeah, that's the main belief. That's probably the whole kingdom.
Okay,
and there's Jesus.
Let me ask you this question. Among the people that has been on the show was someone that I was really surprised to see on television. And
Chauncey?
Well, that's one of the characters from the show. Yes, I was surprised to see. I was not after the first episode when I expected to see him in further episodes. But was Dick Gregory, the legendary stand-up comedian, who I went to see him once, and brilliantly funny stand-up comedian. I went to see him once at San Francisco State University.
Hey,
that's where we went.
That's our alma mater.
There you go. I went to high school at School of the Arts, which is on what at the time was basically on the campus of San Francisco State.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah.
And when I was in high school, I went to see Dick Gregory at San Francisco State, and he was very funny. And he also very passionate about juice, fasting,
not drinking milk.
He did a audio commentary for one of the episodes, the episode that he was in
on our DVD.
And I think the first audio commentary in history where the commentarian fell asleep during the session.
But he's really old, and
he's
so
like 73.
Old people like tend to fall asleep,
especially during anything we've done.
Yeah,
I mean, he's someone who is exceptionally important in the history of stand-up comedy, but at the same time, he's a little bit been written out of the history books.
Yeah, pretty forgotten. We just wanted somebody to play the son, and we were casting people, and then one person reminded us of him, and we said, let's just see if we can get him. And it turns out it's not that tough.
Yeah, you just need to get a train ticket.
Yeah,
he's a super sweet, super nice guy. But he's still really funny. Has crazy stories, has crazy ideas that are like, interesting. And we thought
he's been, just giving. He's sort of the guy who morphed from stand-up to just lectures that are kind of humorous and kind of insane.
He's now like a great professor, I think.
Right, but he's got a lot of whacked-out conspiracy theories and stuff.
Yeah, when I saw him,
he did a great little thing about. He talked about how you shouldn't drink milk, and that got censored from our audio commentary.
Yeah,
you're kidding me?
He started talking about Borden or somebody.
Yeah, some milk company, and they had what was it? It was not Redson. That's a glistening drop of deliciousness. But it was some chemical that was in milk, and that we shouldn't eat milk, and that it caused crib death.
And he just said milk causes crib death, and they made us cut that.
When I saw him at San Francisco State, he was all of the things that you've described, really funny and just really fascinating. And he also said that the CIA disappeared 10,000 people during the riots in Los Angeles in the early 90s or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
It's very compelling when he says these things because he says it with such conviction, and he seems to be involved in everything. He showed up, and it was like when he showed up, it was the day Michael Jackson found innocent. Remember when he did the commentary? And he walks in, and he's like, "Yeah, I just got back from talking to Michael." And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
He's this like 70-year-old guy. He's got this light white beard, and he's wearing this dark pinstripe suit with like these
sneakers.
Fancy new, brand new, like $200 sneakers, and you gotta believe a guy who looks like that. He looks cool.
He's like he's dashing but ready to run.
He did a juice.
He's dashing on the go with his conspiracy theories.
He did a juice fast in support of Michael Jackson when Michael Jackson was on trial. If I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
yeah, and he does a juice fast in for anything.
Yeah.
He'll do a juice fast to get some juice. He's like the king of fasts.
Well, he's like this international spokesman for one of those kind of vitamin juice things.
Yeah. But he's one of the few guys to go from comedy to dietitian and back.
Dietitian.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I mean, I think there's a certain element in his combination of social activism and comedy that is reflected in Wonder Showzen, because Wonder Showzen isn't just undirected anger. I think there is some undirected anger in it, I should say, but it's primarily anger that seems very specifically targeted. Do you guys worry about where are the places and who are the targets we can pick when we're being really, really, really mean?
We try not to make it angry. We try to make it comedy. For the people who don't know, this is a comedy show. It's not a diatribe, but we try to make it comedy, and that's more important. And then the sort of political aspects of it, I think those aren't as important to us as the comedy, even though they're there and we're into them, and we try to make it things we care about and believe.
It's partially just because the show is a parody of kids shows, and that's kind of the bed of it, and so we have to go to the opposite of that to make it interesting and to not be a real kids show. We're sort of forced to be totally fucked up and forced to talk about issues that they wouldn't talk about on a kid show.
Yeah, it's like
Sesame Street is already a good kid show, and sometimes we'll do a bit, and it's like, wait, this is funny and everything, but this could be on Sesame Street, so we can't do it.
But teaching kids about globalism and about the slaughter of animals for eating is not it's not like we're angry or we're evil. It's just we try to make sure there's jokes in there that make it funny, and then just that truth is inherently also funny, as if we're actually teaching children these things.
Well, there's something that's very funny about these kind of really hard truths that are often in the show. I'm thinking, one of my favorite segments in season 1 was part of something called Beat Kids, where you send children dressed in kind of outfits that kind of remind me of Kermit T. Frog reporting on
little trench coat.
Is it Kermit T. Frog? Is his middle name V?
He says Kermit T. Frog when he's being the reporter.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we it's like all those Mike Wallace and
just
60 Minutes.
The trench coat. You got to do the dumb classic thing.
In one of these, there's a kid. It's set at a racetrack. And one of the kids says to a kind of a very kind old man on the side of the racetrack, "Here's my impression of you: gamble, 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 die."
Mm-hmm.
And it's those kind of just horribly brutal truths, contrasting with this just
cute little redheaded
amazingly pleasant milieu of the children's show.
Yeah, it's just this is something funny about going into a place and everything that disgusts you about that place, and you whisper it into a kid's ear, and he says it, and it's just people A, don't get mad at the kid, and B, it just takes on this weird tone. Your ugly cynicism through the vessel
now
of an
becomes
innocent
profound
It's just
anti-innocence.
The kids on the show are really wonderful and charming, and I have to say the segments with the kids in them are almost invariably my favorites. How do you cast these kids?
We go through a huge process of casting. I think each season we've interviewed 200 to 300 kids, and then we have a casting director, Julie Smith, who helps us out, and we just go through, and it's just a test of their personalities. I mean, it's not really there's not that much acting on the show. And so we just sit there and are as obnoxious as we are right now to the kids, and then the ones who can take it. I try to think if we were the aunt or uncle to these kids, how could we make them a better child? And if you find a kid who's just crazy and anarchic, like Trevor, the kid you were talking about earlier, and then will he get along with us? Will we get along with him? And will he get our spirit? And will he take it and just run and become?
Some kids are just waiting to be told they can go crazy. It's not very often that you just the kid walks in the room and we just sometimes just say, just go crazy, just do something. crazy. And the kids that go, holy this is the first time somebody actually asked me to not stop being crazy.
The kids who just don't do anything, we don't hire. The kids who cry, we apologize and tell their parents not to send their kids on audition.
And the kid who's crying, but in the next room you can hear their like little brother laughing at him, we hire.
And the kids who go for our necks, those are the ones who become the beat kids. The kids that's like, do whatever you want, and they're like, they want to kill us. Those are the ones who get the job.
Is there full disclosure of the to what extent and to whom?
We're not jerks.
To what extent and to whom is are these horrible truths that you're talking about on this show exposed? I mean, do you there's
we write scripts and we pass them through standards and legal at MTV.
We work with the parents.
That's our main issue.
We cast also for parents who are cool, who understand, and who have a good enough relationship with their kids that they know they can sort of talk about these things or walk these lines or ask these questions, and either know that their kid will be so clueless it won't affect them, or that their kid can understand. Because Trevor, his mom is really cool and can explain stuff to him. And
I mean, there's a certain amount on the show of things where you can see that divorced from context, there's not enough meaning there for a kid to really understand what's going on. But at the same time, like if you're dressing up a kid in a Hitler costume, which did occur, that, like that's something that like has to have a meaning. Do you worry about that?
Yeah. I mean, we made sure Trevor's mom sat down and explained it to him, and we had a special conversation. Same thing happened this season. We went to Ground Zero to do a comedy bit, and we had a long conversation with the kids' parents, and both their parents, and they thought about it for a couple of weeks, and but they were really cool, and they liked it, and it turned out great.
You're listening to The Sound of Young America. I'm Jesse Thorn, America's radio sweetheart. My guests on the show are John Lee and Vernon Chatman. They're co-creators of the MTV2 series Wonder Showzen. What were you about to say?
I just want to have the sound of me batting my eyelashes at America's radio sweetheart.
I want like a little bell tinkling.
So here it is.
Maybe the sound that comes whenever you hear America's radio sweetheart is an MTV2 publicist breathing heavily into the telephone.
Let's do it again. Here we go, Jeff. Your time to shine. Here you go. The breath of MTV. Go.
The Darth Vader-ish breath.
That's the breath that's always on our necks.
It's a creepy breath, I think, specifically because it's not the stereotypical creepy breath. I mean, if he was doing
it's very sincere.
It feels more like the kind of thing where in a television commercial someone would eat a mint and then do that and then a glass would frost over.
Right. But you should know that Jeff is on our laps right now.
Do you sort through the ideas that you generate and reject some things for being over the line and some things it sounds like maybe for being almost under the line?
Yeah, it's all balanced. It's one poo joke, one semi-real joke.
We probably write enough. We have to, because it's so crazy. We probably have to write enough for like an extra show or two, which each show has I'd say like 20 to 30 different segments in it.
We just overwrite. We actually write the shows, script them, and they're pretty accurate at the end of the day, even though they're so chaotic. Pretty accurate to what the script was. But we have to overwrite because there's so much stuff and so much that fails that we're just lucky to get 21 minutes of something.
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to continue to generate this kind of material that's so? I mean, I should say, I keep going back to this brutality. I think Wonder Showzen is like absolutely one of the funniest shows on television. It's just really an amazing program. But I mean, I find it sometimes difficult to sit through half an hour of the show. I mean, obviously in some episodes like the Patience episode, in which the second half of the episode was just the first half of the episode played backwards.
But with more meaning.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I guess.
I mean, luckily we get to be able to do things like that where you can do a whole conceptual idea like Andy Kaufman-esque, just like we're going to play this now. We're playing one half normal and the second half backwards. Just, I mean, it had a premise behind it. It wasn't just a simple stunt like that. But to be able to do stuff like that, it's totally liberating, and it like lets you, that's a great thing about one of our MTV executives. He was like totally encourages that, and I think it helps us be able to write and feel like we can do things like that. So then when we have to write stuff, that we have to literally sit down and work on dialogue and all that stuff, you feel like you're not that constricted.
But most of that stuff is a vent, you know. I mean, the anger
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff is just venting. And we try. I mean, somehow that's how it all comes out. But we in our heads, it really is a positive show. Like if you look at every ending, it's a happy ending, even if it's like they eat God. Well, like they were hungry, you know. And like so, every ending is a happy ending, and that's there's not many rules, but we try to make every ending like ridiculously happy.
I think God would feel happy that he was eaten, you know, knowing that there's starving people in the world. I think I feel it's his duty.
I don't know if you guys saw Dave Chappelle on Oprah a couple of weeks ago.
We're gonna have a falling out, Vernon and I.
Yeah. One down.
Not speak to each other.
It's actually not me talking. It's my lawyer.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to get Mustafa to answer this next question.
We're in South America, right? South Africa right now.
One of the things that was interesting to me about what he was saying was that he felt a very heavy burden as his audience changed. That he felt like in some way that changed the meaning of what he was saying. That it really. You know, it changed what he was doing depending on who he was speaking to, even if he was doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, we don't have the pressures of success to weigh us down.
I don't necessarily feel that, though, because I feel like we pretty much do the show independent of those things. It's not our face on the show. Like, people don't see us on the show, which, like, we don't get people coming down on the, you know, like, we're not walking down the street
rough.
and people, like, harassing us. People don't have no idea who we are ultimately, you know. And so I don't feel like we're going to have to deal with, I don't feel like that would.
But in terms of, like, you know, him being concerned that he's putting something out there and allowing people to laugh at racism in the wrong way or, you know, laugh at things in the wrong way, I think that you have to come to terms with what your point of your joke is, and then you just there's too much of TV or art or anything that's worried about what the audience is going to think, and it's like you just got to do your, you know, whatever your thing is, and just, you know, people are going to misinterpret anything.
Especially if you're in the medium of comedy television, popular television, you got to know that people are going to, you know, you got to sort of accept that some people are going to get the joke in the wrong way, and you can't worry about that. I think you can't. It's bad to worry about that too much.
Where are you going in this second season that's just premiering? Are you is there anything new or different from last time around?
The stuff that excites us the most is just like because we got away with that Patience episode, we want to do more just ridiculous, stunty kind of conceptual episodes. We got a couple of things that are as trying as that episode.
Yeah, I'd say it's almost 40% that, which is a test of everyone's patience, including our own, which we were editing this one episode, and it's almost, when Vernon and I get in the room, we're both so exhausted because it's so, what would be the word? Cloying?
Unpleasant? Non-entertaining?
It's non-entertaining.
Not funny?
So we try not to work on it,
Useless?
but we know we have to.
Pointless?
Yeah, pointless.
Indulgent?
Yes. But I think we're way more focused this season in a larger conceptual way on America. Last season, I think.
Yeah, it's all just a lot of Americana type of stuff.
Yeah, last season, I think we were more focused on what America's done to the world, and now we're focused on what America's doing to itself.
Why do you do the trying conceptual stuff? I think you use the word trying.
It's just a larger idea to mess with, you know. I don't know. It's like, in some ways, the show itself is such a dumb premise, and it's been done before, and it's the least interesting thing to do a kid show parody. Like, who cares? You can do that. It's been done since kid shows are on the air. So it's like we're just trying to make the show somehow a joke, too, or take it to some other place.
And then
we literally, in this season, do things where we just transform the show into something else. And we're just hoping, I don't know, if we ever do another season that, I don't know, it'll
be a whole different
show into the ocean.
We also get a secret joy out of airing these things, like MTV, corporate, huge Viacom, corporate, just giant corporation that runs a lot of our lives. Being forced to run 7 or 8 minutes of something backwards that has no meaning. You know, like if you just came upon it, you would just be nonsense.
The idea you can just dump a little of their money in the garbage,
which we're trying to do a lot this season, like literally, but I don't know if it's going to make air.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on The Sound of Young America. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you,
Well,
and
thank
I'll
you.
talk to you in, 7 years?
Yeah, exactly.
For the next project?
And hopefully you can bring various members of your family along as well.
Yeah,
We're going to tell you
family,
the
animals.
TV and the dog.
Wonder Showzen airs at 9:30 on Friday nights on MTV2, and you can find the Season 1 DVD in stores now.